time for Cutting Edge Consciousness with Freeman Michaels and Barnet Bain. Thought-provoking discussions and bold ideas from the edge of possibility.
And welcome to Cutting Edge Consciousness. Freeman Michaels here.
With Barnet Bain. Good moment, listeners. Good moment, Freeman.
Good moment.
Good moment, Spence.
Spence is waving.
Spence has gone mute on us. Yeah, good moment. How are all things?
Things are all good.
They are all good?
Life is good.
That's nice. Is that something you read on a bumper somewhere?
Something I did read. Yeah, it's my new mantra.
Is that a sticker that one of the kids brought home?
That's right.
Yeah.
It's been carved on a rock that we bought for $9.
Really? You spent $9 on the rock?
Stone with life is good.
It's carved
etched
in stone.
in.
Well, then it'll never change.
That's right.
That's what you want to know. So finally, there is some constancy in our lives. We have life is good, etched in granite.
That's it.
Is that parked outside your door by the welcome mat?
No, a little one. It's on my desk. It's a paperweight.
Nice. Yeah. Nice. You're the last person I know with paper.
That's right. It's right.
On your iPad. It's an iPad weight.
I do have paper. I still shuffle paper.
It's nice.
Even if I'm writing something, I have to print it out and go sit and read it for a minute. I can't just stare at the screen all day.
Yeah.
Hey, what's going on?
A lot is going on. I'm on my way to Canada to do some casting callbacks, and lots is going on. Lots is going on. And you?
Good. I was wondering if you wanted to mention that this program is made possible by the generous sponsorship of our friends at Hierophant Publishing and Events USA.
That's great.
Publishers
Inside Events USA.
What did I say?
You said Events USA.
Oh, Inside Events USA. Forgive me. They are, of course, the publishers of some beautiful books.
Many, many, many wonderful authors.
Yeah, and they support the show.
And
that's why we get to do this.
So we hope that you'll support them.
Please.
As they support us, because that is how life works. That's a loving, virtuous circle.
All right, go back to where you're off to. You're off to New York to do what?
I'm off to New York to see my publisher.
Oh, good.
About a horse. No, that's not true.
About a book.
About a book. My book's coming out soon.
Yeah.
And then to Toronto to do some casting.
Goodness.
And
gracious.
very, very busy. Very busy.
You got to slow down.
I'm trying to catch up with myself.
Slow down and hear the music.
That's smooth. That's smooth.
I love how you get annoyed these days when I try to transition.
When you segue.
I'm just annoying you at this point.
It's so great because it's sort of like, if you can imagine a 16-wheeler, folks, hurtling down the freeway. And
come on, I'm more subtle than that.
Your partner leans over. He grabs the wheel and he kind of lurches you over 4 lanes. But no, you did it beautifully there. Really beautiful. It's a good thing we're not flying.
Who do we got with us today?
This is really special. I want to just give you a little heads up. So some weeks ago, our friend and friend of the show, Marcy Shimoff,
love Marcy,
calls me and invites us to tune into an experience. And the experience was with her friend, who is a sound healer and teacher. This incredibly accomplished woman I have since come to discover. And so I participated in this remote sound healing. I was in LA and she's in Vermont, I think. And it was so powerful. I experienced such a shift in my energetic field.
Can we say resonance?
We could say resonance. Yeah. We could say whatever.
Harmonics, resonance.
We could say that.
I'm just getting some of the.
No, I like that. Some of the colors.
Yeah.
We are now coloring with the 64 pack of Crayolas. Yeah, I was really only in the 8-pack of Crayolas.
Sorry, yeah.
But one of the things about one of the experiences of working with being, I guess, working with, because it's not passive. There is an element of you have to show up to receive this. But I did feel like I was crayon by crayon, reconnecting with more colors, more of my own colors. So it was wonderful, and I immediately felt that we wanted to have her on the show. And so
expose our audience to that.
And we want to share Eileen McKusick with our audience. Eileen is a researcher, a writer, an educator, and a practitioner who's long been studying the effects of audible sound on the human body. She's the originator of biofield tuning. And we are thrilled to have her with us on Cutting Edge Consciousness. Eileen, welcome.
Thank you.
So, Eileen, how are you feeling?
I feel great.
Good.
Even better now that you owned me.
We owned you. We did. We owned you. That was a really it was a superb experience. I felt very, very attuned to myself. Lots of somatic response. I felt a lot of relaxation in the body. And and this is very new to me. It is a very novel experience. So I'm inviting you to demystify as much as you
What the heck happened?
Can. Yeah.
What'd you do to this guy?
Well, doing that group work is a pretty new experience for me, too. I'm a researcher, and I love experiments. I love doing things I've never done before and seeing what the outcome will be. And so, I've been using tuning forks on and around people's bodies for almost 20 years. And people used to ask me if I could do it at a distance. And my response was, of course I can't do it at a distance. I use sound waves on the body. This is physics, people. There's no way it's going to happen at a distance. And then I have a friend and mentor, the fellow who wrote the foreword to my book, Tuning the Human Biofield, who convinced me to give it a try, doing a distance session on him. And I was so skeptical about it. I really dragged my feet. But then I was like, oh, well, in the name of science, I'll give it a try. Mm-hmm. And so I did. And what I discovered was that I actually could do the work at a distance just by imagining that he was on my treatment table at the same time he was imagining he was on my treatment table. And what I've developed is this sort of curious ability to read people's vibrational emanations and understand what they mean. It's almost like a braille kind of thing.
But this was a large group, so you were attuning to quite a large group.
Yeah. So after a few years of doing individuals, what ended up happening was a lot of my clients are women in their 60s, and a lot of them all have the same kind of pattern of dysfunction or, pattern of symptomology. And I got kind of tired of treating the same pattern over and over again, realizing that there were so many people with this pattern. I had the thought, well, what if I could treat a whole bunch of people all at once? And so I made a little announcement on my Facebook page that I was going to try an experiment, and a whole bunch of people signed up. I had 140 people sign up for my first experiment, which I conducted not on the phone, but just with people like lying at home and feeling it, and got incredible responses from people.
Well, it was an amazing experience. I myself participated, and so did my wife, Sandy. So I'd like to track us back a little bit so that our audience and Freeman and I can have a sense of what is going on there. You are working with sound and attuning to the various vibratory states in the body, chakra by chakra. This is a reductio ad absurdum, but
yeah, and I want to throw something in here too. You can also, by the way, say I don't know, because one of the things that I'm loving in just what you revealed so far is the experiment, the let's try. Because, and I do want to go back to what you know. That's fascinating to me, and I'm sure I'll learn and grow from it. But what's really intriguing to me is what you don't know, or what I don't know, where we really do discover and uncover in kind of real time, moment to moment. Like, we talk, my language, intention directs experience. Like we get like, wonder what's possible. And then in the beginning to play with that, something then emerges and we go, "Ooh, how cool." So I love that element as well. So by all means, tell us what you know that you did, but feel free to include the I don't know part, because I think that's genius as well.
Yeah. Well, you guys just said a lot in there. So tell me what you want me to tell you.
Going back to
right
so Barnet was sort of tracking just the general theme behind using a sound and tuning to attune, and maybe help others attune to something inside of them, something resonant that then
back to their essence.
Yeah, that as it emerges, they're learning something about themselves, or they're expanding in some way. Can you explain that process, and maybe even specifically in the context of this group you led? Right.
Well, basically, we're all just packets of vibration and information. And, when we experience stressors in our lives, we might have a very strong emotional response. Like it creates waves in us. And those waves live on in our memory, basically. I've developed kind of a radical understanding of mind and memory at this point. I use tuning forks like sonar. I activate the tuning fork. I start about 6 feet away from people. I bounce the sound off of them and their body's energy field, which I see as like a diffuse magnetic fluid of varying densities and viscosities and frequency patterns that surrounds the body. And so I bounce the sound waves off it, and I listen to the response. And through doing this, I've discovered 2 things: that sound can be used diagnostically within the field to locate areas of distortion and resistance, and that it can be used therapeutically to break up that resistance and get it flowing, and also to modulate whatever disharmony is there. The body will actually tune itself to that coherent input. If you hang out in the distortion for the right amount of time, the body will recognize the distortion and it will kind of auto-correct it. It will fix itself to whatever degree it can. So it's a very, very simple notion, but it produces very profound outcomes.
It's spectacularly impressive. Spectacularly impressive. And it's since I had the experience, I have given it quite a bit of thought, and I realize I had not paid much attention to how affected I am by sound. Yesterday, or a couple of days ago, I was speaking up at Esalen, and they're building a new an entirely new lodge. And so while we're sitting at mealtime, there are jackhammers going, and you can feel that through your entire body.
It's disruptive,
and it's so interesting. The hammering is both sound and vibration, and so it became very apparent to me that at that gross level, I was attuned to the sound waves moving through me. And then later on, I heard somebody was playing Baroque music, and it's absolutely well known that those gorgeous major scales they produce such a sense of well-being, and they're such a receptive environment. They produce such a receptive environment for learning that it just makes so much sense. It's such it may or may not be an unexplored area in this country, and I guess that's what I'm asking you. How much exploration is this being given in this country? And I suppose that elsewhere on the globe, it is probably much more established. I know it's an ancient wisdom.
It is ancient. It's sort of the original form of healing that's really been present on every continent. You look to any ancient cultures, and they use sound. it's really sort of oddly overlooked in our culture. You know, the power of sound, the effect of sound, how it affects us consciously and subconsciously. But I think it's changing. You know, I think that when I started using tuning forks back in 1996, you know, it was so freaky. It was just really so woo-woo and strange. And I find people a lot more receptive to it. I think especially in the last 3 or 4 years, there's been a really big growth in this field. A lot of people are getting into singing bowls. I've seen a growth in people using gongs.
Our friend Raphael put my head in a didgeridoo.
Yeah,
I thought that was pretty incredible.
Yeah, that's definitely, you know,
gotta get that off.
So, yeah, I think that people are starting to really catch on to it.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, honestly, if I'm to the organizing of it, that music or sound is a way of organizing. I think of, like, you know, nature, going into nature and how organizing it is, you know, and the same and there's a sound element there, of course, too, and a harmony, if you will. So the experience of organizing, because our world is so disorganized. I mean, they're so
chaotic.
Yeah.
Well, have you seen those videos on YouTube where they have these sand trays and they hit tuning forks and things?
Organize into shapes.
They all organize into these incredible. You know what I'm referring to, Eileen?
It's called Simatics.
Yes.
Simatics is the study of how waveforms affect matter. And I think you're talking about the experiments where they have these black, flat metal plates that are called chladni plates.
Yeah.
And if you put something like salt on it and then run a frequency into the plate from underneath, it will cause the salt to spontaneously form geometric patterns that are specific to certain frequencies.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, we need to take a quick break. When we come back, I want to start right there because this is fascinating.
You're going to hit a tuning fork for us when we come back.
We'll do that as well. So stay with us because we'll be back after these messages to talk more about sound here on Cutting Edge Consciousness. Stay with us.
Welcome back to Cutting Edge Consciousness, thought-provoking discussions and bold ideas from the edge of possibility.
We're back. So glad to be back.
I'm grooving out to our music.
You are. You're just getting down with that music. I just love how you shake it up. And we love that music. So we're back with Eileen McKusick, and let's try something. So before the break, we threatened to ask Eileen to bang a fork. So just a little heads up, listeners, this is not an emergency broadcast warning.
That's right.
So nobody needs to do the tsunami watch by the coast. We just...
Now, so should I be breathing and getting in a meditative state? How do I prepare myself best for this experience?
Well, okay, if we're going to bang a tuning fork, we should include an intention of some kind, because sound healing, in its most effectiveness, is sound as a carrier wave. And so it can carry intentions. Sound can actually carry, there's a process called sonophoresis where they use ultrasound. It's called sonophoresis.
Sonophoresis.
I'm writing down.
Mm-hmm.
Write that down, Spence. Sonophoresis.
Ultrasound, like an ultrasound wand, to, like, let's say somebody has a sore knee, you might put a topical analgesic on your knee, and then you would rub that with a ultrasound wand, and the sound waves carry the molecules of that analgesic cream deeply into your body, right? So that's an example of how sound can be a carrier wave. So it can also carry our intention. So if I'm going to bang a tuning fork so that you can hear it and your listeners can hear it, it would also be helpful if you could suggest an intention for me to do that with.
Barnett?
Great. So my intention is to discover more connection.
I love that.
More connection and a greater sense of mystery and wonder for myself. And it is my intention that for our listeners to have a similar kind of experience.
Nice. So that's great. I think that connection is such a great important thing, because so much of what we suffer from in this culture is a sense of separation. Separation from each other, from self, from nature, from purpose, from meaning, right? So many things like that.
Can I chime in? I
That's
like
the right word. That's the right language.
Thank you. I've
Good
been
language.
practicing. I
You
wrote
can
that down.
chime in.
I call them top of the mountain moments, and it's kind of perspective, right? So when we talk about connection, I see the interconnectedness, not of all, yes, of all people, sure, yes, that, but also of all events in my life. So there's a kind of ease that comes where I see that everything is in right order. So that's the kind of what I'd like to layer into this intention, if I may.
Yeah, so that's a sense of flow, how everything flows together.
And maybe even a sense of perspective, some people call it the 30,000 foot, view, but the idea that we really can see all the connected integral parts and how they fit together. That's the harmony or harmonics I'm looking for in my life.
Nice. Good. So just sort of a general sense of connection. So I'll intend connection in many ways, right? Connection within personal awareness of self, and connection, sort of inner and outer connection. How does that sound?
Perfect.
Great. We're in.
Okay. So the frequency that I'm going to use is 528 hertz, and I'm going to activate that against a hockey puck. So I'm going to put my phone down and do that right now.
That's a technical term
And
for a
Spence,
hockey puck.
we're using a hockey puck just because Spence loves hockey.
Yes, it's Montreal Canadiens hockey
You're
puck.
now
Yes, these
included, Spence. He feels more included
Yes,
now.
yeah.
Use the hockey puck. Go on. I'm so sorry.
Okay. All right, here we go.
I'm feeling very still and connected.
Nice. So what did you notice?
I experience a sense of peace in my chest mostly. It just feels there's a tranquility there, a serenity. And
Down on it.
I'm sorry?
When
You have to speak right into the phone, Eileen.
Yeah, so when you get a whole hour of tuning forks, you feel...
Yeah. Well, just those few moments. There is a relationship that I experience to the sound. It's almost like the sound exists in an envelope of perfect silence. And in the clutter and clamor of the day, I don't have that level of perception, that level of discernment around the various sounds, but there's something so pure that it's almost the container of the sound, the emptiness that surrounds the sound, that is more comforting to me than that which fills the container.
Now, what's interesting for me, because I had a distinction in my intention, this actually could be, in part, my conditioning. When I hear a high frequency, the image that sparks into my head is sort of angels and the rays of light that come through that like white light.
The Jesus rays.
It is like the Jesus rays. And so it's interesting because my intention was to get the higher perspective, right? So it's fascinating that what I experienced, or the image, I should say, that popped into my brain with that high frequency was this kind of, that up in the all the angels, and the white light and so forth. So it's interesting.
The Avon lady.
So I wonder about this because the almost personalizing, right? We get what we seek out, and that the whatever the frequency is, harmonizes almost with the intention that we're holding personally. Is that accurate?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's great. Because
that's is kind of a diagnostic of life.
Well, this is what I was about to say: is that it's that what we're looking to find, we discover, and then the how it gets carried, what the mechanism is, can change around a little bit. Lots of things are sufficient. So I think that's fascinating. It's a reversal of the sort of dysfunctional way that we're proving our small story. This is a way of verifying our greater story for ourselves. Yeah, I love it.
So what is the next expression of the experiment that is coming together for you?
What? Can you repeat that?
What is the next experiment that you're planning to engage in? Maybe how about this? How about I don't want to put you on the spot. I'm going to do it anyway, but you can feel free to say, I don't think so. But how about if we invited if you schedule one and we invite our listeners to tune in?
Well, so I'm so glad you asked about experiments, because I actually have one coming up that I'm really excited about. And I'm currently in a PhD program at a school in California called the California Institute for Human Science, which is in Encinitas. And on campus, there is a room that is made completely of copper, the walls and the floor and the ceiling. So it's electromagnetically shielded. It's light-proof, it's soundproof, and it has a biophoton counter in it, which actually counts single particles of light. And when I did my first group experiment, I was really surprised to discover that the temperature in my treatment room went way up. While, right before I started, it felt like there was actual heat coming off the table. And then as I was working and getting these energy adjustments in the sort of collective body that I was working on, so the scientist in me immediately saw the potential for gathering data. Because this whole idea in our culture, first of all, sound healing sounds kind of odd and out there, but distance healing, we have no context for explaining or understanding distance healing. And so, skeptics will absolutely dismiss it. So on June 18th, will be conducting an experiment as part of an independent study for my PhD. I'll be in this copper shielded room working on however many 100 people sign up to be a volunteer, and we'll have a thermometer going, so we'll be tracking the temperature change and the biophoton counter going. And I know from my research that in distance healing experiments, bursts of biophotons appear in the room, but as to the best of my knowledge, those experiments were only conducted with one-on-one working, not with hundreds of bodies showing up intentionally through the ether in a particular location at a particular time. So I'll be gathering actual quantifiable data. And as many people as I can get who want to participate in that, I would be happy to have them.
All right, we're gonna send this out to our audience and get them to do it. I love it. Our friend Lynn McTaggart would be all over this. Of course, Lynn wrote The Field, and I'm sure you're aware of it in the Intention Experiment in the Bond.
So June 18th.
June 18th.
2015. Is there a particular time, a call-in number? What do our listeners need to know?
Well, there won't be a call-in for this one because it is an electromagnetically shielded room. I won't be able to be on the phone in there because there's no reception.
So there is a semaphore. We can have flags?
Right. So people would have to just use their intention, and then I might get on a call afterwards to tell people about my experience.
Oh, wow. That's really
So we need to
interesting.
know what time they should tune in to you. You tell us.
Okay.
You tell our listeners what time, how you want them to be, disposed, and then when and where they would call in for the debrief.
Yeah. So I don't have that information yet.
But when you do, you can give it to us, and we'll disseminate
We
it
will put it out on our
sites. Yeah.
Yeah.
All over social media.
As soon as I have the information. And also, if people want to sign up for my newsletter, it's at my website. So that information will also get disseminated through my newsletter, too.
Well, tell us that information.
Yeah,
Give it to us now. We want it.
Yeah. So my website is EileenMcKusick.com. It's EILEN and then MCKUSICK.com. And there's a place where you can sign up for the newsletter. And then I'm also going to be setting up monthly healing sessions that people will be able to do. And those will be call-in ones.
I'm in.
Yeah, I love it. Well, this is powerful. I mean, there's so much about it that is so perfect in my mind in terms of, our audience, but also Barnett and I personally, how much we're in. So thank you so much for spending a little time with us today.
Yeah, you bet. My pleasure.
For those of you listening, we will take a little break here, and then Barnett and I will be back.
We're going to talk about Eileen behind her back.
That's what we're going to do.
So stay tuned.
And we'll do that after these messages, so stay tuned.
Welcome back to Cutting Edge Consciousness, thought-provoking discussions and bold ideas from the edge of possibility.
And we're back.
Yeah, we are.
Wow,
that sound?
It surprised me. It sounded so good.
Wasn't that good?
It was so good. Hey, listen, I'm so in the attunement. I love that. And the whole sound and the whole organizing, reorganizing, disorganizing conversation around noise.
It has such a ancient, there's such a heritage to this kind of work. And so little attention to it paid in the modern world that I'm aware of, and I'm certainly not keyed into these developments, but just in the public space, I'm not aware of any of it.
Well, I'll tell you one piece that I'm aware of.
But it makes so much sense.
It does. My mother, who was a child development specialist, she since is retired, but there's some sound program that they use that Antonio did. Actually, Josh did it way back when as well, having to do with similar things that we were speaking about. I don't know enough about it, but yeah, it's very interesting. It's these beats and certain megahertz and how the sound
There are
works
certain kind of wavelengths that people use to entrain.
This is it.
For mental function and train
it's
the
organizing.
brain.
It's reorganizing.
Binaural beats.
Yes.
And yes.
Yeah.
Left hemisphere, right hemisphere.
Yeah.
And that's a powerful thing. She's taking different pitches of sound and balancing the energetics around each chakra.
Right.
It's an amazing experience.
I love that.
It's really an amazing experience, and you will feel things. So,
well, especially if you're intentional around it. I mean, I think
yes,
that
you
can't be
you can resist anything. You have to be.
I don't think it can be
intentional.
underplayed. If you want it, look, it's a corny line, but it's a great line. Everything's a miracle or nothing's a miracle. You choose. Either.
I've never heard that.
Either,
I haven't.
Really?
I'm being serious. I've never heard that.
So look, either you're open.
Is that original with you?
No.
Wow.
I don't know who said it originally, but I've heard
really
it many
good
times.
Line. It's so true.
Yeah. Either you're in the, you like to call it the enchantment. I think that's great language of life, or you're in this. People like say, "I'm being practical."
That was like my dad.
The
facts
disenchantment.
Are facts.
Yeah, disenchant everything. Let's just disenchant. Let's take all of that vibrant openness and possibility and crunch it down to 4 options.
Rocks are hard unless they're sand, and water is wet unless it's frozen.
That's the way the world works, kid. So from the perspective of the enchantment, then there's this broad spectrum of ways to tune in, and of course, sound is a great healing potentials and properties and so forth.
Whatever it is you're attuned to.
Whatever you're attuned to.
Whatever you're attuned to, you will find.
Totally.
And so that's a big one to let in. I was. This sounds very hokey, but it is absolutely true. Driving to the station this morning, I was listening to another radio station, and there was
confessions
of
a radio host. Go ahead.
Listening to another station, and there was someone on there who was talking very, very pessimistically about world geopolitics. Very, very pessimistically. So pessimistically. And he really made so much sense because he was cherry picking his data to support his contention and
Totally.
stringing these things together. And it was such a dramatic and so well organized. It was such a convincing, persuasive argument that it more dramatically than most, it conveyed to me the truth that you will always find what you're looking for.
Totally.
And if you continue to be moderated and calibrated to that orientation, you will create for yourself that experience.
Congratulations, you
You
win.
will go down that. You will go down that.
You can
road.
argue for your limitations.
There is no one superseding. Well, there are, but there is no superseding story in that way.
Yep.
You get what you dream.
That's it.
And if you're not aware of what you are dreaming, then you will be dreamed by others. So wake up and
Consensus
and
reality.
and dream. Yeah.
Consensus reality. Yeah, no, it's powerful. The finding evidence for what you're looking for. You'll find what you're looking for.
We
You
always are doing it. We
Yeah.
are always scanning to support where we have been coming from. So if we're not aware of exactly where we're coming from, then look at your life.
Yeah, I love it, and I love the science of it and the data of it, and I love
And the metadata of it.
and I love the metadata,
the physics of it and the metaphysics of it.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, because it's interesting about the whole room getting warm. When I meditated in a group, which I did for a number of years, God, that room would get so warm, and you could,
thick, right?
Yeah,
Sometimes
and
you
you
would
could
get soupy.
And you could dismiss it and say, oh, it's body heat, or but it wasn't. It was more than. I've been in a room with 10 people. That's not gonna, it doesn't get that hot, And then in that, everyone breathing and going into a deep meditation. Holy smokes, And it wasn't a hot that was uncomfortable, right? Sometimes you can be in a hot environment.
It's warmth as
It's
opposed
warmth.
to heat.
Yep.
It is
Yep.
the warmth that it's an uncommon sense. It's a warmth that points to the soul movement of things.
Yeah, and it's interesting. After this class, I was in the class for a number of years. After the class, people wouldn't want to leave the room. Like everyone
juicy
would
in
be
there.
sitting around and just, so good. And things, there was a comfort in that space, a deep and profound comfort. Interesting stuff. So, I love the sound and the harmonics. One of the things that also comes to mind is the place for certain vibratory. I think of driving and the car that comes up to me that's got the vibratory bass. The whole thing is shaking and rattling. And I have some judgments about that, but I also have been in situations, sort of ecstatic situations in a dance club or something, where that same vibration and everyone's vibrating, the power of all of that, vibration at one time. It's great stuff. So, and it can be constructive. And of course, there's a destructive expression too, but that's okay. That's just part of that stage of life.
There's always.
Yeah.
There's always.
We're going that way with it.
There's always a constrictive side to any frequency. I don't know that that's a scratch that remark. I don't know that it's always, but I know that certainly at a certain level of what we are aware of, there is consistantly a constrictive aspect to every frequency.
Well,
and
just
perhaps
it
there's
can
some
be played
level,
that way.
Perhaps there's some level at which that no longer is the case. That in time and space, there are upsides. There are expansive energies and constrictive energies. And outside of time and space,
who knows? We haven't found out. We're willing to entertain anything, which is
right.
fun.
That'll be another show. It may not be next week.
Yeah. Well, it does bring to mind this kind of quantum perspective of even looking at science a different way and looking at data a different way. I think it was Andy Newberg came on one time, and we were talking about the anomaly, and he said in science, the way he was trained is you looked for trends, and you'd follow these trends to draw conclusions, and when there were anomalies, you threw them out. And what he was saying about his scientific life is I moved towards the anomalies, right? So that there's a consensus reality isn't that interesting to me. What's really interesting to me is the anomaly, and I want to move in the direction of that, which is a fundamental shift for him personally as a scientist, as a neuroscientist, but also collectively. Like, let's move towards the anomaly.
Boy,
That's
I
cool.
love this door that you just opened. I love that my whole being shimmers with the excitement of the door that you just opened. This idea that we hear over and over again about, is it scientifically verifiable? This means that the lens of linear cause leading to effect is the lens through which everything is perceived and conceived. So the idea that the scientific approach may itself be a downstep from something more mysterious and unknowable doesn't exist in that. It's kind of like saying, when I was a math student, not a very good one, it's kind of like saying the scientific approach would be equal to there are numbers. We have even numbers and we have odd numbers, and the scientific approach is all even numbers. There's no room in all even numbers for an odd number.
Where it all becomes got turned on its head is the proving of the observer effect. That, for us, metaphysics, where the physics and the metaphysics got slammed together, the observer effect is the new game. That's the new territory.
But science doesn't seem to operate that because
it doesn't fully embrace it.
They're looking largely to the past, except when you have things like double-blind tests, where that makes me laugh all the time. For listeners, that a double-blind test is when you're doing an experiment and you don't want to. They say, "Well, I'm not going to. I'll give you placebos or something, and I'm not going to tell anybody who has the placebo or even what the test is about, for fear that if it might somehow mysteriously, magically influence the results."
Right.
So there is even some knowing on the part of the fact-driven science, the empiricists, that there are conditions and situations that may weigh on our results that we can't explain.
Which, of course, for us is what we move towards.
That's what we move towards.
Yeah.
So is gravity and are all the scientific facts, are those also developmental, or are there superseding explanations?
I'm going to shoot straight. It's consensus driven. It's by agreement.
Yes.
So fact by agreement. Fact is only a fact as long as everyone agrees it.
Yeah.
The minute everyone stops agreeing, it's no longer a fact.
Yeah.
Which is why we love the scientists who love the anomalies, because then they throw monkey wrenches into
Einstein.
Yeah, but so look, at first it's disorganizing. It is because it's uncomfortable, and we thought we knew, and so forth. But we
thought we knew in a particular way. There's
that's
a particular modality of perception and conception that we return to and we elevate it. Well, once upon a time, there was a truce made between science and spirituality. You guys take the woo-woo
You hang
stuff.
out over there.
You hang over there. We will handle the empirical stuff, and we never the twain shall meet.
It's like when we had Nassim on. And Nassim Harriman, and we were talking about how
he stirred it up. People got really
people are still going nuts. Yeah. But the beauty is the organizing factor. Looking for beauty and looking for harmony and looking for patterns, beautiful patterns, the sacred geometry. The quantum physicists and the traditional physicists agreed to disagree, and we'll have these two streams of understanding everything that will they don't have to correlate. And he's saying, well, no, they do, and here's how they correlate, and just people are going nuts.
Yeah. On our social media, people are going nuts about it. We have another guest. We haven't had him on for quite a while.
Who are you thinking?
I'm not going to mention any names.
Oh, no, mention names.
No, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it because
we have to be sure we can get him back.
Well, he is a contrarian.
Oh, right.
And no matter what anybody says, he comes at it with the most constrictive science. It's it feels like 1960s science.
I think I know who you're talking about.
It's always anything that is that cannot be reduced to cause and effect, to a snowball running downhill, it does not is dismissed with some energy of contempt. As being intellectually intellectually dubious.
Totally.
So
funny.
he is a treat to be around. I don't know that makes for really great radio, but he is sort of a treat to be around because I see the degree to which I am in flow or triggered.
Yeah. Yeah. The certainty, by that. That's it.
By that.
Finding evidence for your position. I mean, that's
yes,
it.
There is a particular character style.
Yeah.
Of that. In biblical times, we called it righteousness, and it was elevated, it was nobilized like this is a quality. But it really is. It is the clinging to a particular point of view, and organizing all thought and communication around the point of view without any flexibility.
Yeah, I think of that in terms of debate. Right. At this point in my life, debate is just not interesting at all. Like, if someone wants to debate with me, I'm like, I can't get involved. Conversation, which is more horizontal, I love it. Where everyone's sharing ideas in the spirit of learning and growth, I'm in. But the minute it becomes proving I'm right and making you wrong, it's too vertical.
So you can't watch. We're coming up to election season.
Yeah,
so it's not going to be pleasant for you.
I just tune it out.
He said, she said. They don't even listen to each other.
They don't. And the crazy idea,
there's not even a communication.
It's so
just
crazy.
They wait and shout over each other.
And it's so crazy to think that it's gang warfare. They're traveling in packs where you have two parties and they have to oppose each other. So when one says black, the other has to say white, and it's and no one can see through that. Like, but people just go along with it, and they fall in line with the party affiliation. It's so childish. I'm like, really? We're going to do that? Like, unbelievable. Dissenting viewpoints and new ideas, not so much. So whatever. That's developmental, to use that language, and it's fine, and there will be debate, and it's okay. It's not
the humility that is required to honor another person. We've said before on this program that the honoring is expressed in our willingness to be changed by another person.
Totally.
The humility that even though every goldfish I've ever seen has been gold, there might be a silver one next.
Right.
That I am not clinging to this righteous view that organizes all data around one idea and never changes.
Yeah.
And part of our political discourse nobilizes that to such a degree that if anybody ever retracts or recants on an old position, they are flip-floppers, which is worse than child molester.
Yeah, it's really bad.
Maybe not worse than
not
child
quite
molester,
worse,
but
but
not quite.
Definitely,
but it is political. It is politically very dangerous.
Deviant. Yeah.
Politically deviant. Yeah.
Politically deviant.
Yeah.
It's a crazy ride to just be a witness to the kind of
grow. Growing is a crazy ride.
Well, and to be a witness to that locked developmental stage. Because what's fascinating is even as I'm saying to you that I'm not interested, I can tune in, if you will, to to this station sometimes as well, and get hooked in. Which then actually becomes interesting because what I'm observing is how I'm going on the ride, right? Because all the conditioning to take sides is still in there, right? My upbringing.
Some aspect of you that was preconditioned to take sides and finds comfort and belonging or shelter from abuse or emotional distancing or lack of attunement. So looking for connection or looking for some distance. However it shows up for you, it's still alive in you, and something triggers.
I think it's in the DNA.
It's in it triggers.
It's the tribal warfare. It's in my DNA, right? Yeah. That there's generations of tribal warfare.
Something in the present is sufficiently familiar.
I'll tell you what's
that
present.
Gets triggered. Oh, we're over. We're finished.
Again, we're finished.
Oh, it's just like we're getting going.
All right, so we're done.
We need a 3-hour show.
But come back next time, and if you listen to 3 in a row, that's a 3-hour
show.
Thanks
I
for
like your math skills.
Thanks
See
for
you
tuning
next
in.
time.